Golf and reach for youth. The rise. Golf was one of the most popular sports in America. Nearly anyone could play the sport, young or old. Stars such as Tiger Woods drew in the interest of many Americans to play the sport. With a high increase in players in the 90s, many new golf courses began to open in the US. The sport of golf was soaring with interest, but that would soon change. The fall. Many people and companies had invested in the sport of golf. Companies such as Nike and Dick's Sporting Goods gained popularity in the industry off the backs of stars such as Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson, who influenced many youth to play the sport. But when scandals came out about Tiger Woods and a recession in the US economy, the tides of this popular sport would soon change. The exit. Numbers of players in the sport soon began to drop in the early 2000s. Youth quickly began falling away from the sport, as they had lost nearly 30% of youth participation because many kids thought of the sport as boring. Nike quickly began to see its sales drop in its golf market, and they would take an exit from making all products in 2016. As you can see, Nike in 2016 had its worst year since 2011, only having a profit of $706 million. And winners of the past 8 majors were not Nike endorsers. The closing down. The US had begun to see an overbuild in golf courses in the US. More than 4,000 golf facilities have been open from 1986 to 2005. Now, more than 800 courses have closed down since then. The demand for golf had been so high in the 90s that many courses had opened for golfers. But with the decline of players, many courses were forced to close down. The problem. Golf took a decline because of its lack of stars playing the sport. With Tiger Woods dealing with personal issues, a lot of people had no one to look up to for the sport. Golf was looked at as too expensive to play. It could cost up to thousands of dollars to pick up the sport. And with the recession in the US economy in the early 2000s, many people couldn't afford to play the sport anymore. Golf was considered too hard and long to play, to where people didn't want to invest too much time into playing the sport. With the lack of new participants in the sport, golf was looked at as only for older generations, which scared away many new youth from picking up the sport. The fight back. Some people had not given up on the sport yet. States such as Minnesota had begun research on ways to fix the sport of golf. They looked to find their problems with the lack of participants in the sport. They wanted to make the sport popular in the US again. Recession in the US ended, and many Americans in recent years have begun to pick up the sport again, as the sport has seen an increase in players. The upgrades. Some courses did not give up and have begun to renovate their facilities instead of closing down their courses. With these newly up-to-date golf courses, it has paid off and they have seen an increase in memberships. Golf has begun to make rule changes and have less restriction on dress codes to make the sport more appealing to millennials. The reach for youth. Programs such as the First Tee have begun to capture the attention of youth golfers. The First Tee teaches kids golf at a young age so they can stick with it as they grow up. Topgolf has taken off as a popular site for millennials to play the game. It offers a more relaxed and entertaining way to play the sport in a new fashion. The comeback. Tiger Woods is even on the rise again, becoming a popular star again in America. He won his first major in 2018 since 2008 and won the 2019 Masters, which is the biggest golf tournament in the sport. With his resurgence, players of the sport have a star to look up to again. The future. Golf took a major decline in the early 2000s. But in recent years, the sport is rising again. With new technologies, new rule changes, modernized courses, and the rise of major stars, the sport will continue to succeed in the coming years.